Hello guys and welcome back. So our lesson today is gonna be talking about flowering plant. So we took about the plant in general, the plant cell, the photosynthesis and so on. Today we are going to talk about flowering plant. So as we took before, plants is divided to flowering plant, which is a plant that contains the seed, and seedless plant, right? So today, guys, we are going to talk about something we called it angiosperms. Angiosperms, which is the flowering plants. So for many years, flowering plants were classified according to the number of seed leaves or cotyledons in their embryos. Those with one seed leaf were called monocots, and those with two seed leaves were called diocots. So we have two types of flowering plants. We have monocots, we have diocots. Those with two seed leaves were called dicot, and those with one seed leaf were called monocots, okay? Okay. So the flowering plant, which is angiosperm, we talked about angiosperm before, right? Angiosperms, which is the plant that have seeds. We have two types, monocot and dicot. Okay, so for plants that have a single cotyledon, we have monocot, single cotyledon. Their leaf will be a parallel veins. Their flower will be multiple of 3, like 3, 6, 9, and so on. Their stem will be vascular bundles scattered through the stem, and their roots will be a fibrous root. So for monocot, we have single cotyledon, parallel vein, a multiple of 3 floral parts. The stem will be, the vascular bundle will be scattered, and the root will be a fibrous root. About dicot, we have 2 cotyledon. The 2 cotyledon, branched veins, floral part often in multiple of 4 or 5, the vascular bundle arranged in a ring, and they have a taproot. Okay, so these are the difference between single cotyledon and dicot, which is the 2 cotyledon in the angiosperms. Okay, the flowering plant. Let's talk now about the reproduction of plants. So the reproduction of plant is sexual reproduction for sure, because it has a female part and a male part. Let's go deeply inside the reproduction of plants. So angiosperm have a life cycle that shows an alternation of generation, which is the shifting between diploid and haploid cell and haploid phase, and they have what? Sexual reproduction. So angiosperm, diploid sporophyte phase, and haploid gametophyte stage. They have something we called it alternation of generation, which is inside, when the reproduction starts, there will be a switching between diploid, which is the full chromosome number, and haploid, which is the half of the chromosome number. So they may reproduce mainly sexually by pollen grain and ovary. Pollen grain is the male part and ovary is the female part. Or, and keep it on your mind, they may be reproduced asexually by cutting off what? Shoot of coniferous tree. What's coniferous tree? We talked about it on the last video. So cutting shoot of coniferous tree and let it grow is example of asexual reproduction of plants. Please, you should to memorize this. This will mainly come on the trials. Okay, so cutting shoot of coniferous tree and letting it grows is example about asexual reproduction. Okay, in gymnosperms. Let's see. So plant is a living organism, and living organism is made up of cells. Cells make tissues. Now we are going to study the tissues of the plant. So seed plant have 3 principal organs that are linked together by systems that run the length of the plant. Let's see what are they. We have dermal tissue, we have vascular tissue, we have ground tissue. So dermal, vascular, and ground tissue. We have 3 types of tissue: dermal, vascular, and ground tissue. So on the plant as a whole, we have these 3 types of tissue. Okay? So in every location of the plant is composed of these 3 types of tissue: the dermal tissue, the vascular tissue, which will transport water and nutrient from the roots, and the ground tissue. Okay, so these are the 3 types of plant tissue. Let's see. So dermal tissue in young plant consists of single layers of cell called the epidermis, such like our epidermis, our skin. So the dermis, or the dermal tissue, is acting like our skin but in the plant. The outer surface of epidermal are often covered with thick waxy layer called cuticle, which protect against water loss. So the epidermal have cuticle, and the cuticle is having like a waxy layer, a waxy material that prevent the dehydration of the plant. Some epidermal cell have a tiny projection known as trichomes, which help protect the leaf and may give the leaf a fuzzy appearance. So you should to focus on the 3 types of the 3 layers of the plant tissue, and we should to focus on the dermal that have a cuticle and trichomes. What is the function of a cuticle and what is the function of trichomes? Cuticle for prevention against water loss, and trichomes help protect the leaf and may give a leaf fuzzy appearance. Let's see. By the way, in older plant, guys, dermal tissue may be a many cell layer, not only one cell layer. The dermal tissue includes the root hair cell to absorb water. Then in the stem, there is a dermal tissue. In the leaves, there is a dermal tissue. And everywhere in the plant, there is a dermal tissue. Not only on this green part. Also in root, we have a dermal tissue. So let's talk about the other tissues. So dermal tissue, any outer covering tissue. On the small plants, it is consisting of single layers of epidermal cell, and it have a cuticle and trichomes. Vascular tissue from vessels. So a vessel that transport material from the root up to the top of the plant. So the vascular tissue is composed of 2 main things, and please focus on this. It mainly come on the ACT trials. Vascular tissue is composed of 2 things, xylem and phloem. So these are 2 types of tubes that transport what? Nutrient and water. One of them will transport water and one of them will transport nutrient. So inside, if you cut any plant from any location from the plant, root, stem, leaves, you can see through the microscope, you can see the xylem and phloem, which is the vascular tissue on the plant that's responsible for transporting material. The ground tissue is any other cell. It consists of 3 types of tissue: parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma. It is the ground tissue, okay? Let's see. So the dermal tissue, the outer surface of epidermal cell, which is the cuticle and the trichomes. The vascular tissue, which is the xylem and phloem, consisting of long cylinder cell that connect almost like section of pipe. So it absorbs the nutrient from the soil, then transport the nutrient to the plant, to the rest of the plant. So we have a xylem and a phloem, 2 types of pipes. So it should interact with the vascular tissue should interact with the dermal and the ground tissue in order to transport the food and the water correctly. Okay? Let's see. By the way, the xylem is for transporting water and the phloem is for transporting nutrients. Focus on this. We are going to talk about the anatomy of plant root. So this is the plant root. We have a cross section of plant root. We have in the plant root the xylem, the phloem. We have epidermis and ground tissue. So in this cross section of root of the plant, we have dermal tissue, vascular tissue, and ground tissue. Let's see. So we have the endodermis, which it is a layer of ground tissue, that is known as endodermis, that completely encloses the vascular cylinder. And it also, the endodermis, it plays an essential role in the movement of water and minerals into the center of the root. So it helps the xylem and the phloem. Apical meristems produce new cells near the root tips here, and it's covered by a tough root cap. Okay, so here we have an apical meristems produce new cells near the root tips. So it for production of new cells happen in the apical meristem. Okay, so this is a cross section of root of a plant that includes all of the three type of tissue. So here's the root cap that protects the fragile meristems as the root tip forces it away through the soil. As root grows, the root cap secretes a slippery substance that eases the progress of the root through the soil. So that's how root works, okay? I want you to answer this question, please. Thank you. Let's continue. So let's see what is the anatomy of the leaves. So this is a cross-section of the leaves. We took a cross-section of the leaf. We magnifies it under the microscope, and this what we can see. For sure it's green because it contains the chloroplast where photosynthesis happen. Okay, and I want you to know that the structure of leaf is optimized to absorb the larger amount of light, okay, and carry out photosynthesis. So most leaves have a thin flattened blade to maximize light absorption, okay? So this is what cross-section of leaves look like. We have a cuticle, which is the thin waxy layer, then the epidermis, xylem, phloem. We have vein, we have stoma. These are the parts of leaves of the plants. Just focus on the vein, the xylem, the phloem, cuticle, and epidermis. And if they asked you, what is this picture, or for what is this picture, it's for the plant. It's a cross section of plant leaf. So we have epidermis, cuticle, xylem, phloem. From the roots to the leaves, we have a xylem and phloem, okay? Let's see. So guys, leaves are filled with a specialized ground tissue cell. Ground tissue cell called mesophyll. Mesophyll, spongy mesophyll. So we have two types, okay? We have two types. We have a spongy mesophyll and a palisade mesophyll. Let's see. Palisade, spongy, okay? So the palisade and spongy are part of the leaf, okay? It's part of the ground tissue of the leaf of a plant. So the mesophyll, we can find the mesophyll in the leaves of plant, okay? It's like a closely packed cells that absorb light because it have what? Chloroplast. Okay, so these tiny things are not these. Inside this we have this chloroplast, okay? Let's see. We have another thing, which is the air spaces here in the spongy mesophyll connect with the exterior through something. So it connects with the exterior, this opening, through something we call it stomata. Stomata, okay? Stomata, which is these small openings that connect the spongy mesophyll to the exteriors, and it will be in the epidermis and allow carbon dioxide and water and oxygen to diffuse into and out of the leaves. So which part is responsible, specifically which part is responsible for transporting materials like carbon dioxide, water, oxygen in and out from the cell, from the plant? It's the stomata. It's a small opening in the epidermis that allow carbon dioxide, water, oxygen to diffuse into and out of the leaves. Let's see. Let's talk about this stoma. So we have these two pictures. The gas exchange happen in the mesophyll, which is specifically on the stoma, okay, stomata. So plant leaves allow gas exchange between aerospace and the spongy mesophyll and the exterior by opening their stomata. So when they open their stomata, they allow plant what? Respiration or plant photosynthesis. Plant photosynthesis. So they allow the plant to exchange oxygen with carbon dioxide. So stoma closed, stoma open. These are guard cells, okay? The stoma is open. In this picture, the stoma is closed, okay? Let's talk. So the stoma is surrounded by something we call it guard cell. The guard cells are highly specialized that surround the stomata and control the opening and the closing. So it's the guard of the stomata that allow it to open or close. Okay, so it regulates the movement. The movement of what? The movement of oxygen and carbon dioxide in order to make a photosynthesis. By the way, the stomata open and close in response to change in water pressure within the guard cell. Okay, so what stimulates the stomata to open and close? The change in water pressure within the guard cell. Okay, let's see. The stoma, guard cell that control the opening and closing, and the pressure of water is the trigger. Okay, so guys, stomata are generally open during daytime when there is a photosynthesis because there is a light, and closed at night when open stomata would only lead to water loss. Why? Because if stomata keep opening, ايش بصير? What happens? The plant will have a dehydration, a water loss, okay? And it also, guys, it can close in a hot, dry condition to have a water conservation, okay? Because if it doesn't conserve water and save water, it will lead to dehydration, then the plant will die, okay? So here we arrived to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. See you on the next video. Goodbye.